You have been living your life on autopilot day after day. Wake up, work, scroll, sleep. You laugh when you're supposed to laugh. You nod when you're supposed to nod. You follow the rules without even knowing who wrote them. And you think this is freedom. You think this is choice. But deep down, you have always felt it. A strange tension, a quiet whisper that something isn't real. Then one day it happens. A fracture in the mask, a split second of clarity. Maybe it's when you're at a party surrounded by people performing joy, and you notice the deadness in their eyes. Maybe it's when you scroll endlessly through smiling faces online and realize they're not smiling at all. They're selling. Or maybe it's when you look in the mirror and admit for the first time that you don't recognize the role you've been playing. That's when you see it. The script. Invisible lines handed to you before you were even born. Lines that told you what to study, who to love, when to marry, when to kneel, when to obey. Lines written by a society terrified of what would happen if you ever stopped performing. You see how everyone around you is just reciting. At work, they repeat the corporate jargon they don't believe. At church, they echo prayers without feeling. At home, they recycle the same small talk, the same tired cliches, the same safe smiles, actors everywhere, and you realize the play never ends. But here's the terrifying part. Once you see the script, you can't unsee it. You can't laugh at the fake jokes anymore. You can't sit through the empty rituals without feeling sick. You can't pretend that belonging is real when all you see is performance. You've crossed a threshold and the crowd will never forgive you for it, because the moment you see the script, you stop being a fellow actor. You become a mirror, and mirrors are hated, not loved. Socrates was forced to drink poison because he held a mirror to Athens. NZ went mad because he refused the comfort of illusions. Galileo was silenced because he spoke a truth the script couldn't allow. This is the law. Society will tolerate anything except those who refuse their role. And now, that includes you. You thought awakening would make you free. Instead, it makes you untouchable. You thought you'd finally belong to something real. Instead, you realize you belong nowhere. That is the cost of seeing too clearly. That is the curse of knowing the lines. You are no longer in the audience. You are no longer on the stage. You are outside. And once you step outside, there is no way back. Look around you. What do you see? People living or people performing. You've walked through crowded streets, sat in classrooms, worked in offices, and you've noticed it. The lines are rehearsed. The smiles are staged. The laughter is hollow. This isn't life. It's theater. Everywhere you go, you see masks. The worker mask, the student mask, the friend mask, the family mask. Each one carefully crafted to keep the play moving, to keep the illusion alive. Carl Jung called this mask the persona, the face we wear for the world, the costume we put on to survive the expectations of others. Without it, he said, society would collapse, but with it, the individual collapses instead. You've worn it too. You know the weight of it. At your job, you pretend to care about tasks that bore you. With friends, you laugh at jokes you don't find funny. With family, you play the role of the beautiful child, never daring to speak the truths that would shatter the dinner table peace. It works for a while. The mask keeps you safe. It gives you approval. It buys you belonging. But here's the lie. The mask doesn't protect you. It erases you. Think of the herd that Nietzsche warned about, the masses who surrender their individuality for the warm comfort of belonging. The herd survives, yes, but only as shadows, only as echoes of each other. The herd is safe. The herd is accepted. But the herd is never alive. And here's the brutal truth. You've been part of that herd. Every time you nodded when you wanted to speak, every time you silenced yourself to avoid conflict, Every time you chose approval over honesty, you traded life for performance. Ask yourself, how many times have you swallowed words that burned inside you just to keep your mask intact? How many times have you denied your own thoughts, your own instincts, your own desires, just to keep playing the role written for you? You think this makes you strong, that silence is maturity, that fitting in is wisdom, number. It makes you forgettable. History remembers the ones who tore their masks off, not the ones who wore them perfectly. Socrates, who questioned the play until Athens killed him. Galileo, who told the truth about the stars and was silenced. Even Christ, a man who broke. That isolates you is also the fire that purifies you. It leaves only what is real. And if you endure it, you will emerge untouchable. Awakening destroys your old life, but it gives you something your old life could never give you. It gives you yourself. Awakening is not celebrated. It is punished. You think people would thank you for showing them reality. You think they would be grateful for the mirror you hold up. But the truth is this: society does not reward truth-tellers. Society crucifies them because truth is not comforting. Truth is not entertaining. Truth is dangerous. When you refuse the script, you don't just step off the stage. You expose the stage itself. And the actors hate you for it. They don't want the illusion broken. They don't want the mask ripped away. They want to keep pretending. And so they turn on you. You become the scapegoat, the problem, the one who must be silenced. It doesn't matter if what you say is true. What matters is that you disturb the play. History has always known this. Machiavelli warned, the one who points out new truths makes enemies of all who profit from the old lies. Expose the hidden structure, and you become the enemy of the many. Reveal the trick, and the crowd will call for your blood. Socrates was killed not because he lied, but because he told the truth. Christ was nailed to a cross, not because he was powerless, but because he refused to wear the mask. Every whistleblower, every rebel, every seer has faced the same verdict. Exile, silencing, destruction. Today the tools are different, but the pattern is the same. They don't burn you at the stake. They cancel you. They erase you. They strip your reputation, your livelihood, your voice, until you crawl back begging for acceptance. This is society's defense mechanism. It must destroy those who won't perform, because the crowd knows one awakened mind is contagious. One refusal to play threatens the entire play. One person standing outside the herd shows the herd that escape is possible and that is unforgivable. So if you awaken, prepare for this punishment. You will be called arrogant. You will be called insane. You will be called dangerous. They will twist your words. They will laugh at you. They will cast you out. Not because you are wrong, but because you are right. Not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough to see. And when the punishment comes, you must remember this is not proof of your failure. It is proof of your freedom. Because only slaves are safe in the herd. Only actors are loved on the stage. But truth-tellers, they are feared. And to be feared is better than to be forgotten. Exile feels like death at first. The silence is heavy. The loneliness cuts deep. Every instinct inside you screams to run back, to beg the herd to take you in again. But then something happens. A shift, a realization. You are free. For the first time, no one is watching. No one is demanding you play the role. No one is holding you to the script. And in that silence, in that loneliness, you discover a truth most people will never know. Belonging is a cage. When you belonged, every move was chained. You laughed when expected. You spoke when allowed. You swallowed your thoughts so they would not offend. You lived not as yourself, but as a character approved by the crowd. But now, standing outside, the cage is gone. Yes, you are alone. Yes, you are unwelcome. But for the first time, you are real. Nietzsche called this condition being untimely. The untimely man does not fit his age. He walks against the current of his time. Out of rhythm with the crowd, he is mocked, he is despised, but he is free. Because to walk in step with the herd is easy. It is warm, it is safe, but it is also slavery. The untimely man walks alone. He pays the price of isolation, but he holds the prize of sovereignty. Do not confuse this with joy. Freedom is not happiness. Freedom is weight. It is responsibility. It is the crushing knowledge that no one will rescue you. No one will comfort you. No one will carry the blame for your choices. And yet it is precisely this burden that makes you powerful. The herd runs from it. They run to comfort, to roles, to masks. They run into chains because they are too weak to carry the burden of freedom. But you have carried exile. You have felt the terrible weight, and you did not break. So now you stand where few ever stand. Alone, yes, but sovereign. No one owns you. No one dictates your words. No one writes your lines. You owe nothing. Not to their expectations, not to their judgments, not to their fragile illusions. This is the paradox. Exile feels like loss, but it is the truest form of victory. Because in losing the herd, you found yourself. And once you taste this terrible freedom, you will never trade it back for comfort. You will never crawl back to the cage because the crowd may belong, but you are free. You've seen the script of society, you've burned the bridges, you've endured the exile, and now you stand in the cold silence of freedom. The question is, what will you do with it? Because freedom without direction is just emptiness. It is not enough to tear down the false script. You must write your own. Carl Jung called this process individuation, the creation of a self that is whole, not a mask. It is the work of taking the fragments you've hidden, the parts you've repressed, the truths you've buried, and forging them into one unified being. Society wants you fragmented. It wants you divided against yourself, torn between the role you play and the person you are. That division keeps you weak. It keeps you compliant. But once you have seen the lie, once you have endured the exile, you are called to unify, to write a personal code, not borrowed from religion, not handed down by tradition, not scripted by culture, a code forged in your own fire. This is not the comfort of belonging. This is the raw pride of sovereignty. The crowd measures their worth by approval. You must measure yours by alignment. Do your actions align with your code? Do your words align with your truth? Does your life align with the self you have chosen to be? If the answer is yes, you are living as few ever will. If the answer is no, you are still enslaved even in exile. Look at the ones who walked this path before you. Nietzsche, who refused to bend his will to the morality of the herd and instead carved his own. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled as emperor, yet followed a personal code of discipline and philosophy, not the empty applause of Rome. Tesla, who abandoned wealth and social acceptance to live by his vision alone, but unbent. Their greatness was not in belonging. It was in standing apart and writing their own lines. So now the challenge is set before you. You cannot return to the herd. You cannot unknow the script. The only way forward is authorship. Write your script. Write it with discipline. Write it with defiance. Write it so clearly that every step you take, every word you speak, every silence you hold, all of it is yours. No borrowed beliefs, no second-hand morality, no counterfeit approval, only the sovereignty of a man who belongs to no one but himself. Yes, the crowd will hate you. Yes, the herd will mock you, but their laughter is meaningless. Because while they perform, you create. While they obey, You command. While they live by a script they never wrote, you live by the one you forged with your own hand. And that is the foundation of greatness. This is the turning point. The moment when everything you've seen, everything you've lost, and everything you've endured finally converges. You are no longer the man begging for belonging. You are no longer the actor desperate for approval. You are no longer the obedient shadow reciting lines you didn't write. That weak self, the one who smiled when he wanted to scream, the one who obeyed when he wanted to resist, the one who lived by the script. He is dead. And in his place stands something else, something rarer, something untouchable. Look back at what has happened to you. You saw the script, the illusion shattered, the masks around you slipped, and you saw the grand stage of society for what it is, a performance. You burned the bridges. You stopped laughing at fake jokes. You stopped kneeling to fake authority. You stopped pretending to belong, and the fire consumed your old ties. You were punished. The herd branded you arrogant, dangerous, insane. They exiled you, mocked you, tried to erase you. But you endured. You tasted exile. You bore the cold silence of freedom. And in that loneliness, you discovered the truth. Belonging was the cage. Exile was the key. And then you began to write. Not society's script, not their morality, not their hollow codes, your script, your law, your truth. Now comes the transformation. Society believes you are rejected. But you know the inversion. They are the ones enslaved. They are the ones trapped in a play they can't stop performing. They are the ones who belong, and that belonging is their prison. But you are free precisely because you are cast out. You are powerful precisely because you are feared. You are sovereign precisely because you stand alone. This is the forbidden circle, the place reserved for the few who endure the fire, and you have entered it. Understand this. From this moment on, you are untouchable. They cannot manipulate you because you no longer crave their approval. They cannot control you because you no longer beg for their belonging. They cannot destroy you because what they call punishment is your proof of power. You are not a man who was rejected. You are a man who was chosen, chosen by the truth, chosen by the fire, chosen by exile. You walk a path that terrifies the herd because it demands courage they don't possess. And that is why they fear you. That is why they whisper about you. That is why they call you dangerous, because you are. Think of the greats who walked before you. Socrates drank poison rather than betray his truth. Enzi shattered the illusions of his age, even as it drove him into madness. Machiavelli told rulers the truths of power that no one dared admit. Tesla built visions the herd could not even comprehend. Alone in his exile, they were not ordinary. They were not safe. They were sovereign. And now you join them, not as a follower, but as a brother, not as a shadow, but as a light too blinding for the crowd to bear. So from this moment forward, carry yourself differently. Walk into rooms with the knowledge that you are no longer one of them. Your eyes see what theirs cannot. Your mind goes where theirs will never follow. Your soul stands where theirs will never dare. Do not apologize for this. Do not soften yourself to make them comfortable. Do not crawl back to the cage to soothe their fear. You were not born to fit in. You were born to stand apart. You were not born to be ordinary. You were born to be sovereign. Remember this law. Most people will live and die inside the script. They will never question. They will never awaken. They will never break free. But you are not most people. You saw. You endured. You transformed. You are untouchable. You are feared. You are free. This is where it ends. Not with comfort. Not with applause. With a command. Stop apologizing. Stop softening. Stop bending yourself to fit inside cages too small for you. You are not here to perform. You are not here to kneel. You are not here to beg for crumbs of approval from people who can't even approve of themselves. You have seen the script, and once you see, you cannot unsee. So walk away. Walk away from the laughter that isn't real. Walk away from the rituals that mean nothing. Walk away from the crowd that will never understand you. Yes, you will walk alone. Yes, the path is cold, but the cold is cleaner than the false warmth of the herd, and the silence of exile is louder than their endless noise. This channel is not for the many. It is not for the comfortable. It is for the rare, for the ones who refuse the mask, for the ones who will endure exile rather than live a lie, for the ones who understand that to walk alone is the price of sovereignty. If you are one of them, then you know what to do. Subscribing here is not casual. It is not entertainment. It is initiation. Initiation into a circle of minds who see through the illusions. Initiation into a brotherhood of outsiders who refuse to bow. Initiation into the dangerous freedom of those who cannot be tamed. Most will remain trapped. They will perform their roles until death closes the curtain. They will smile. They will nod. They will obey. They will never awaken. But you are not most, you see. And from this day forward, you walk untouchable.